Hello everyone, hope everyone is doing well. Today we are going to talk about the quantity theory of money. We will talk about the value of money and we will see how this is related to inflation. And so first let's talk about how do we figure out the value of money, and we are going to draw a graph to find out how is the quantity of money and the value of money related. So let's say that we have a basket of goods as we talked about before when we talked about inflation. Now in our basket of goods we have a bunch of stuff. Let's say to buy this basket of goods, I need to spend P. So P could be $20, P could be $40, it could be any amount, but this basket of goods is fixed. So to buy this one basket, I need to spend $20. Therefore, the value of $1 is going to be 1 over the price of that basket. So, in other words, how did we get this number? If I divide both the sides by 20, then I get this. So I can say that $1 can buy me 1/20th of the basket of goods and services, or 1 over P of the basket. So from here, we can then talk about what is the value of money. If the price, let's say, is 20, then the value of $1 is 1 over 20, which is 0.05. Now afterwards, if price of this basket goes up to $40, then the value of money becomes 1 over 40, which becomes 0.025. So as you can see then, as the price goes up, 1 over P decreases, which means that as price increases, the value of $1 will go down. Now how do we represent this in a graph? Let's say on the vertical axis we have 1 over P, or basically value of $1. That's in my vertical axis. And on the horizontal axis we have the quantity of money. Now in our case, what we will say is that money supply by itself is going to be a vertical line. The reason the money supply is a vertical line, and we will call this, let's say, at M, this amount is actually fixed by the Fed. So money supply, this is going to be, so this amount is fixed by the Federal Reserve, and we can see that it should be, it is a vertical line, and it is basically not sensitive to the value of money. So they fix this amount that we are going to release, let's say $10 trillion or $20 trillion to the market. Now what happens is, we have to now look at the money demand. If this is my money supply, money demand is how much money do people want to hold. So we are the consumers of money. We need money to buy goods and services, so we need to hold some amount of money. Now this is telling us how much money are we willing to hold. Now many factors affect the amount of money we want to hold as cash. So in this case, we can look at one example. So why would people want to hold money as cash? One reason is probably because, like we know, we want to buy more goods and services, so we want to spend money to buy things that will help us to lead a certain standard of living. The other reason is maybe, if I have, let's say, a very lucrative investment opportunity, I may want to hold less money and invest more today so that I get more returns in the future. So I can think about it as interest rate is higher. So if interest rate is higher, I would want to hold less money so that I can get more money in the future. So that's one thing that could affect how much money I hold. Another thing that could affect the amount of money I hold is the price level. So if the price level is higher, I would need to hold more money to buy goods and services. And why is that the case? So if we look at the example above here, supposing if I only needed a basket of goods to live for a month, then if the price was $20, I just need to hold $20 of cash to buy that good. On the other hand, if the price goes up to $40, now I need more money to hold. So as you can see, as the value of money decreases, so if the value of money decreases, I need to consumers need to hold more cash in order to buy goods and services, and less cash is used for investment. So even though interest rates may be higher, I may not be able to save money in my investment account because I need to hold more money to meet my daily expenditures. So the interaction of this supply and demand gives us our value of money. So for a given quantity of money, this is going to be the value of money. So we know from here, this value equals 1 over P star. We know what that is. And we can then find out what is the price level in the economy. Now what you can see from here is if supply of money goes down, so if supply of money decreases, that is if it shifts to the left, in that case, we can see that if this is my new money supply, so we are now at M2 prime, then I can see that if demand stays the same, the price level will decrease, which means the value of money is going up. So we can say that if money supply decreases, value of money increases, which means price level actually will decrease because now my $1 can buy more. On the other hand, let's look at an example. Let's say that money supply increases now. So in that case, so now if my money supply increases to M3 bar, I can see that the value of money will decrease. And as a result of that, price level will go up. So from here, we can say that if money supply increases, value of money will decrease. And so price level will increase. So this simple graph can give us an idea is that if we print more money, yes, we have more money in the economy, but what it will do is it's going to just make things more expensive. And now the question is, why would this happen? A lot of people might have thought that, if I print more money, then I will be able to get more goods and services and people will be richer. So we need to just print more money. However, as we talked about before, there are two things that we have in our economy when we measure goods, or there are two ways we can measure goods. One is we have the nominal values, the other is the real values. So nominal values is measuring the value of a good using current or the actual price of the good, whereas real values fixes the price and then measures what the value of that good is across time. So if I see that nominal values, meaning if the price of an apple goes up from $2 to $3, that we would say that the nominal value has gone up. So some examples of nominal values is what we would call just wages, nominal GDP, and so forth. Some examples of real values is going to be, as we say, real GDP, and we can also use real wages, but these are some examples of nominal and real values. And in the GDP chapter, we saw how to calculate nominal GDP and real GDP. Now, there is a dichotomy between these two values. So nominal and real values are different. And the reason is, if nominal values go up, so if I print more money, price will go up. So nominal values will go up. So if I print more money, price will go up. And so if prices go up, if the general prices go up, then inflation goes up. However, what people realize is that if I just increase money, the value of money will go down. And so as a result of that, more goods and services will probably not be produced. And so eventually what we will see is there are more money, but the quantity of goods and services produced in the economy will remain the same. So consequently, what we will see in the long run is that if the general prices of goods and services go up, so if we produce more money, prices go up, inflation goes up. However, people don't produce more goods and services because they think that, the reason why prices went up is not because people's income is going up. There's no real reason why people are buying more goods. It's only because there's more money available. So it does not eventually lead to an increase in the quantity of goods and services produced. So what an increase in money all it does is increases prices. And so this is what we call money neutrality. This is the phenomenon where we say that when money supply changes, if money supply increases or decreases, then real values, so real GDP or real wage, those don't change. What only changes is the level of prices. And so from here, we come up with a notion, what we call is the quantity theory of money. What the quantity theory of money tells us, it's a nice equation, and so I will just write it in this corner. And M times V equals P times Y, where M is the money supply, V is the velocity of money. We were going to talk about that in a bit. P is the price level, and Y is the real GDP. So what money neutrality is telling us is that if I have M here and this goes up, all it does is, V is, we can think about it as a constant. All it does is it increases P, but does not change Y. So any increase in M will increase P. Now, this is one theory. Another theory that we would call Keynesian economics says that in the short run, we may have money supply going up. Yes, P will go up, but not as much as the increase in money supply. A little bit of that increase in money supply will also lead to an increase in Y. And so sometimes increasing money supply can help us to produce more goods in the short run, and that is, it's called Keynesian economics. But in monetary economics, it's basically telling us that if money supply goes up, it does not really affect Y. All it does, it increases P. Now, what is V? Velocity of money. As the name suggests, velocity of money. So V is telling us how much does money change its hand in a given period of time. So if I say that M equals 100, P equals 20, and Q equals 2000, then V will equal to, if I divide M by both sides, it will be P times Y divided by M, which equals to 20 times 2000 divided by 100, which equals to 400. So that means that in this example, we would say that velocity, or money, changes hands 400 times in a year. So we normally think that the velocity of money stays constant over time, but it can also change. It could increase or decrease depending upon how much we use the cash. So from here, we can see that almost always inflation happens, that is, increase in prices. This simple equation tells us that inflation mainly happens because price levels are going up. So as money supply keeps on increasing, we see more and more inflation. And now it could be the reason, like, why do people produce more money? Sometimes central banks may try to do that in order to fund big projects. Sometimes the governments maybe, and this happens when the government doesn't have enough money through taxation. So what they will do is they will try to surprise people by saying, like, okay, we're going to build this road, but they don't have tax money to build it. So they will print more money. And that actually has a name, and the name is seigniorage. And this is when governments print more money to finance projects. So governments might think that, as I said, like, I want to build a road or improve schools. So instead of that, what I would do is print more money. People may not know that there's more money. People might think that we are just richer, we have more money, so they'll spend the money. But what eventually happens is people realize that there isn't much extra goods being produced, so sellers will start increasing prices instead of increasing quantity, and as a result of that, we will just see increasing prices because money supply just went up. So there are lots of examples of seigniораges and increasing money supply back in the day. We have seen it in the Weimar Republic, in Germany, or the previous German regime. They wanted to pay back their debt by printing more money, and it led to very, very high inflation. or what we would call hyperinflation. In recent times, we saw that during the pandemic when the US government printed more money and gave people money so that they could buy goods and services. People who were unemployed could buy goods and services. That increased the money supply to a very large extent, and which then led to an increase in inflation. There are also many other examples. Hungary had hyperinflation, so did Zimbabwe. So when money supply increases too much, we then get very high inflation, and that's called hyperinflation. I put a lot in quotes because there really is no numbers. Some people say if inflation is over 10%, then it's hyperinflation. Some people say if inflation is over 50% or 100%, then it's called hyperinflation. Many countries face hyperinflation before, and it's almost always due to increasing in the money supply, which led to increases in prices. Now, what are some of the costs of inflation? Inflation is very detrimental to us. We may think that, increasing money supply could maybe, as Keynesians say, that it could help us to produce more goods and services, but there are some effects or negative effects of inflation. One is what we would call shoe leather cost. This is the waste of resources. So shoe leather cost here is because we are wasting resources. Now, how do we waste resources? If you imagine, if prices are going up, we need more cash to hold. So we have to hold more cash in order to buy more stuff or the same amount of stuff because of higher prices. Now, in order to do that, we may have to go to the bank more often, or go to the store, or even stand in line. Sometimes if you have hyperinflation, prices actually change by the hour, by half an hour. So we may want to then stand in line in order to get the goods at a lower price. So if prices are going up, we need to hold more cash. And so in order to hold more cash, we have to go to banks more often. We have to go to the stores more often. We have to spend more of our brain power and our resources to keep updated about what prices are at what stores and where can I get a lower price, or how far do I have to go to get a better deal. So those things are what we call shoe leather costs, because we are wasting resources just to figure out where can I get a small price, a lower price. Now, we imagine we do that during holidays, like during Christmas and Thanksgiving, but imagine doing that every day. So that does drain on our resources and on our energy. So that is a negative effect of inflation. We also have menu cost. This is the cost of changing prices regularly. If you imagine, why is that a case? Imagine going to a grocery store. The prices are written in front of all the items. Now, menu cost is changing those prices regularly because prices are going up. So somebody has to go and update those prices, remove the sticker from front and put in a new sticker. Some people may have to go and update their actual menus. Some people may have to go and update, if you think about like a website like Amazon, somebody has to go and update those prices regularly. So if prices go up more frequently, we have to update those prices more regularly, and that does lead to higher cost. We also have tax issues because, tax rates don't change with inflation. If prices go up, I still have to pay the same proportion of my income as tax, but I'm spending more on goods. So I'm not able to pay less tax because inflation is higher. I still pay tax on my nominal income. So it does make me even poorer because I'm not getting a rebate from the government. So if I live on a fixed income, then higher inflation is bad for me. So if I'm a retired person and I get a certain amount of income every year, and if prices go up, then I cannot maintain my standard of living. And so effectively, I'm getting poorer. So those do have an impact on a large proportion of people. If I'm a borrower, then higher inflation is good for me, but not for the lender. Now, why is that the case? If you remember, in the inflation chapter, we talked about nominal and values. And we said that nominal inflation, or not, sorry, nominal interest rate equals to real interest rate plus inflation. Now, in my case, let's say I got a loan 5 years ago. The inflation was 2%. My nominal rate was 3%. And so then my real interest rate is 1%. So I'm paying back 3% to the lender, but 2% is inflation. So effectively, my interest rate is 1%. Now, imagine inflation went up to 4%. So it just doubled. In that case, if I have a loan that's like 10 years long or 20 years long, the nominal interest rate still remains at 3%. That does not change. But now my real interest rate has fallen to negative 1%. So as a borrower, I keep on paying back the same amount. Now the lender is getting, yes, 3% of the income back, but because inflation is higher, their earnings, the real interest rate is much lower. So if I already borrowed money, then higher inflation is good for me. So borrowers are winners. Creditors are actually, they're losers if inflation goes up rapidly. Hopefully this was helpful in understanding the quantity theory of money and how money affects inflation and why inflation is bad for us. Have a good day and I'll see you later. Goodbye.